up? We did just a quick little intro there, though. I got tired of doing the 3-minute one, especially in the replay. I have to fix that. So anyway, we're here. We're a little different time frame, 3:30 today, because I wanted to hopefully give some of those parents picking up their kids from school some time to jump on. So here we go. So today I got Ian of Austin, as always. Good to see you, Ian.
Dude, good to be here. How's it going, man?
Good, man. We just partied really hard in New York recently. I mean,
I'm still tired. I'm still tired from 4 days ago. Man.
Yeah. And
when I say we
partied, I did zero partying. We had a dinner and that was it. So
no way, man. I was all over the place. I went to the US Open. I went and saw Hamilton on Broadway. I'm getting out there as much as I can. It's good.
Yeah. What was funny is somebody had said, hey, Serena Williams is playing tonight. It could be her last time. I found center court tickets for $2,500. Do you want to go? And I was like, yes, let's go. I'm like, wow, $2,500 is a lot. I'm like, okay, fine. We're not going to go. And then I'm watching TV where our seats would have been. It's all these celebrities sitting there. I'm like, $2,500 though. It's a lot of money, but all right. So our guest today is Joel. We're not going to say his last name for privacy concerns because he's wanted by the FBI. But Joel just moved to Austin. What, a year and a half ago or 2 years ago?
It was just over a year and a half ago. Yeah,
year and a half ago. Has been in his house for about 8 or 9 months.
Yeah. No, actually, no. We had our 1 year anniversary for the house in August, and prior to that, we moved out here in November once our house had closed out in California.
Yeah. Okay. So you've been here about a year and a half. You've been able to, have a little time to, move into a home, rent, see things. So we're going to pick his brain today to see what it's like actually moving and now living in Austin. So we want to go through that. Ian, did you have you said you had some articles or something you want to bring up. You want to do that first, or you want to just?
No. Let's chat first. We can save that for later.
All right, perfect. Hey, Joel, I'm drinking a little bourbon for you, by the way.
Nice.
I
still got to go get
back to the basics right there.
Yeah. It's funny is I've had meeting after meeting after meeting today. One of our listeners, Steven, shout out to him, just joined Real Broker. Just called me this morning to let me know. So Steven, if you're on yet, hello. Lucas, what's up? Ernest wants to know if the real estate slowing down. So we'll talk about that as well. But Joel, you moved out here. Why in the world would you move all the way from California?
Yeah. Same difference.
Yeah, same thing.
The impetus for us initially, and I may have said this in the last time that we had conversations on live stream, but the impetus for us as a family, we were looking at already selling our house and moving to just a different area of LA. And then the more that things are going on with COVID's lockdowns and some of the policies that were in play that we just were not vibing with, we started looking outwards. We looked at Tahoe. We looked at, back in Oregon where my folks are from. And then my wife had said to me, she's like, well, why don't we go take a look at Austin? We've always talked about it. And we came out and in less than 48 hours, we knew it was the place. It hit all the markers that we were looking for. We're very much more like a mix of indoor, outdoor in terms of the things that we like to do, from hiking and lakes and rivers and oceans and so on. It just, from food and kind of the music culture that's here, it really was the better family atmosphere that we were looking for than what LA was providing at that point. And so I think for us, it was, it started there and then it became so much more as we've learned more about the city that we've been here.
So you're saying you have no plans of going back?
I have no remorse. In fact, I felt like I won the lottery once everything just kind of played out the way it did, because I'm a bit of a man of faith, and I put a lot of trust in that. And I realized that there are things that happen in life for a purpose that, I literally told myself, I will never move to Texas. And I moved to Texas. And I said, I'd never move to California. And I moved to California. So it was like, I'm just going to stop. I'm going to stop trying to sell pretend I know where my life is actually going to go, and just let it happen. And honestly, I'm extremely happy, but I know it's not for everybody. A good friend of mine bought a house 2 houses over, and it's been a struggle for him to adapt, even though he didn't want to be in LA anymore. I think he was just used to that fast-paced life. This is a buddy of mine that would like go to like audition for America's Got Talent. It's that type of mindset. So it's been a little bit different for him.
Interesting. So everybody that's going to move out here is going to have a different experience, right?
Yeah.
And I think that's really important. We got a guy coming on later to talk about, he just moved out here, also from Southern California, a little further south from where you were. But he was going to come on in a little bit and talk about his experience as well. But what's interesting is that no matter what, you know, I've seen so many people post like, oh, I moved out here, I hated it. I mean, I've made a lot of videos about regrets, and I'm seeing people now move back to California. So for somebody that's moving out here that might not like living in Austin, what are some of the things that you think are some of the reasons why or like why your friend is struggling and, you know, acclimating out here? What are some of those things why they just might not like it out here?
I think it depends on pacing. Like for me, I'm in my younger years, I was much more of an extrovert than I am now. I like the home life. I do a lot of barbecue. I like to spend my time with my dogs. You know, head out to the lake. You know, do some paddleboarding. Get on the boat. Yeah, the affordability helps a lot too. But you know, for him, he's much more. I got to travel. I got to you know, be in the limelight. I wouldn't say it was a status thing, but he's accustomed to that more faster paced life. And I know like the first couple months when he was out here, he was like, man, it's quiet. It's like, I could hear my own thoughts out here. What's going on? I'm used to back in LA, there was an ambulance every 30 minutes. There was a helicopter every hour. There were just noise you would get used to. And I'm sure it's the same thing if you're in New York City, or really in any downtown metropolitan area, there's going to be an experience you're going to have that if you now move out to the suburbs of Texas and it's quiet, it probably is a little disturbing at first. Now, I'm sure he's gotten used to it over time, but it wasn't something that was immediate for him. For me, I was like, it was as if I found like my relief that I was looking for. And on top of that came with all the other policies and kind of the way in which, not just Texas, but Austin's kind of a mix of different cultures, to the point that you're not just getting, you know, like one side of politics or one side of perspectives of life. And that was really important to us as well. I didn't want to move. I mean, especially moving from LA into Texas, or LA is its own state, really. When moving from that, you know, there's a very like expected like experience that you're going to have in LA, especially working in the tech industry, that when you move out here, you have a diversity that isn't there. And I think ultimately, I'm not saying it's bad, it's just different. And so that culture shock, I think, can affect some people as well. Personally, for me, I'm a live and let live kind of guy. So I just want people to stay out of my business and let me live my life and let me raise my family. That's kind of how I am. I don't really care what you agree on, who you voted for. It's all gravy as long as you're a good person. So
cool. I like it. Judge a person by their character.
Yeah.
So Chris has a pretty good question here, or more of a statement, but I want to get your take on this. It says, just visited the area, potentially moved from LA as well, visited the Leander area and was disappointed the surrounding compared the fun, trendy areas of South Congress, which we really love. So you moved west of Austin, about 25, 30 minutes west of Austin. So you're still pretty close. So how would you compare living in a suburb outside of Austin versus being in Austin? Like, would you recommend that to somebody? I mean, what are your thoughts there?
You know, it really depends on the lifestyle you're looking for. I personally think that the culture on the south side of Austin is better than the north. There's a noticeable difference. That said, there's some really great spots. Like, I love Georgetown. Leander, it's going to be a little bit quieter. It's much further away. And we have friends that are up there. We've been like tell them you got to come down here. You got to come to the south side. It's much better, or southwest. But I love hill country. For me, it hits all the pieces that I need. But I think in general, like Leander is I don't know. It's expanding fast. It's a sea of housing developments at this point. I'm not knocking it. It's not what I was looking for. I thought I did actually when we first came in, Jeremy. I don't know if you remember this. We were like, oh, that's the place we want to go look. And then just things, the way in which they kind of unfolded, we ended up out here towards Beagate. So
what's funny is you initially were renting in Ian's neighborhood in Round Rock. Why didn't you go to Round Rock?
I don't know. I really don't know. I mean, I'd be eating at Round Rock Donuts every day if I did. But I don't know. I think the draw for us initially was the rolling hills, the quieter countryside for us. It had a feel of kind of where I grew up in Portland, out in the outskirts. It felt like home to me. So it was hard for me to pull away from that once we really kind of spent our time down here in those few days we were here. I don't know if that answered his question, but hopefully gives some idea.
Ian, you think that south side is better than the north side, right?
That's not it. No. I think it depends on what you like to do when you leave your house.
Yeah.
Right. And then if your primary motivation for choosing a location is equity appreciation and schools, I think that's what starts to get people to move into different areas. It starts to get people moving a little further southwest a lot. I think that's the real reason why that area grew so rapidly. But if you want to have a good time, I don't know, and not deal with traffic all the time, then you usually have to go further north.
I'll give you that. The traffic down here right now with all the projects they're doing, it's a little bit nuts. So,
yeah, they're expanding the Y. It's really, really kind of, I don't want to say funny, but just well timing on my part. So we lived in Circle C, and they had put in the 45 extension that gets you down to Buda. Well, I don't know if you saw this. So our neighborhood backed up to that 45. I was probably a good mile from the 45, but people in the neighborhood, like, they literally back and look at the freeway. Well, they just announced that they're extending that 45 to go through like this remote area all the way to I-35.
Oh, I haven't
seen that.
Wow.
I-35 is going to have a direct connection to get to Mopac, and they're going to drive right through my old neighborhood, basically. And so I had friends that all live facing the freeway, and I'm like texting them yesterday. I'm like, hey, don't know if you saw this, but you could move to my neighborhood now. And they're all like, oh my God, I want to go. So what do you think about the roads and the freeways? I mean, obviously, you do more work from home, but what do you think about the overall traffic congestion?
Yeah, you're right. I usually don't have to deal with it too much. I'm a full-time remote worker, so it doesn't truly affect me unless I have to get out and head down towards the city or out to the airport. I swear I've made more trips to the airport in the last 2 months than I can remember. Yeah. So
did you hear about the airport this morning?
Oh, I heard. Yeah. And my son is supposed to come in today, so he's already delayed.
Oh, that's right. He was flying from LA.
You got to share for the class, man.
Oh, so yeah, this morning, I don't know really what happened. There's underground power line went out into the AVIA. And so there's people literally stranded at the airport, just sitting there with no power, no AC, no nothing, which is like what happened to me on Saturday. I got stuck on a plane for like more than 5 hours, no AC in the plane. It was brutal in Dallas. But yeah, and then they shut down the entrance and the exit for the airport. So you couldn't even get in or out.
Yeah, no flights going in, and traffic was backed up like crazy too for that same reason. It was
I would say in general, though, traffic, I've only seen it really get that bad if you're in the prime rush hour or if there's construction. And right now there seems, with all the expansion, there's a lot of construction going on. So, I'm sure in a couple of years it's going to be great until they do more construction.
That's the biggest problem with Austin is, and you both can correct me if I'm wrong, but the one thing I see Austin that does very good job of is they come up with an idea for a project, but they're so narrow-sighted about the growth of Austin.
Yeah.
They do this small project, and then they're like, oh crap, we need to do that again and do it bigger. And so they waste taxpayer dollars doing it one way to come back and just do it again. The why, which goes out to your area, is a prime example. That they put diverging diamonds in. This is going to fix the problem. Diverging diamonds don't fix crap. So now they're putting a whole like overpass system out there.
Well, let me ask you, how long until they expand the Austin airport once again?
Well, I think
Like, it's
they're trying
already getting backed up.
Well, what's interesting in Ian, maybe I'm wrong, but they part of the infrastructure package that got passed recently, I've heard is supposed to help pay for the rail lines that are going in Austin. Like 40% of those funds are supposed to be paid by the government. And then, and then part of that was supposed to go to the airport expansion. So
adding a terminal.
Yeah. So they're actually, I mean, I've seen plans to do the extra terminal, but I'm telling you, where they need to expand is that south terminal with JSX flying out of there.
Oh.
That was crazy. I mean, they need more flights out of JSX. I'm telling you, I flew to Dallas, it's like $150 and I was like flying private. It was the best thing ever. So, Tony says Dripping Springs is a nightmare for traffic 290. I disagree.
You would.
But I don't.
But I agree.
Right now it sucks. If you try to go around Hamilton Pool, which is where I live, is a complete mess. Yeah.
It's a nightmare right now. Yeah. And when they had that issue the other day, last Friday, and it was a 3-hour wait to get down the road. No joke.
Oh yeah. Yeah. So, okay. So the traffic's still a pain. So what else would you say if people are moving here? Like, what are some of the expectations that you had coming out here that have not lived up to the expectation?
I mean, my expectations were somewhat tempered. I was looking for, just more of like a laissez-faire liberty type environment. I was looking for lakes and rivers. I was looking for a house with a large yard for my dogs. So my expectations were a little bit different, I think, than maybe some other people in terms of like, hey, I'm coming out here because there's, music in most venues. There's, great foodie culture that's really developing out here. The beers and whiskeys and everything else are fantastic. The barbecue, like there's a lot of great stuff. I think in general, like those were the things I was looking for as well. But my expectations were, I think, pretty realistic. I was also looking to get out of what essentially in LA at the time was turning into kind of a crazy situation with more riots happening and lockdowns and other stuff that I was like, maybe this just is not the town for me anymore. So it's easy to leave that and go, yeah, I win.
So I see, it's funny, this guy's name is California. This woman's name is California, but everybody keeps hitting on the prices. So I guess I want to ask that question. Were you okay with the rising prices in Austin compared to California? And then how did that and the property tax and insurance and utilities, how did you shake through all that?
I was probably one of the very fortunate few that hit a higher end in LA. And before it got too crazy in Austin, it was already getting to that, like it was already going up. And but I got in at just the right time. Within 2 months, the prices had already went up 20 grand from where I bought them from, and they've skyrocketed since then. So I still paid a decent amount for the place that I'm in now, but my mortgage is relatively the same for 3 times the size of a house. So, and now that said, with property tax, if I included what my income tax was and what my wife was making and the property tax we paid there plus sales tax, we were still about 8 to 10 grand under our tax burden in LA than we were out here. So I even with property tax increasing over time, I still have some room before we even reach that point. But I'm really hoping to see some type of price controls come into play more so in the future when it comes to how much your home can jump. Because it's one thing to say, hey, well, your home increased 40%, so we're going to tax you that much more. I'm not sure exactly all the particulars and how it works, but I'd like to see some type of cap, year over year and how much that can go up.
We call that the homestead exemption.
Well, that helps. Yeah. Right.
Well, there's enough Californians moving here that hopefully they'll vote for something like that.
Right.
Because the stuff that typically gets voted for ends up costing taxpayers more money. So we'll see. This is a great question by Chris. And this is something I think a lot of people have questions about. It says, has tech salaries kept up with the big increase of housing prices in the last few years? What's really important to note, I pulled up the article, but Austin Business Journal just put out an article, and it was actually talking about us being we need 100,000 more jobs. Sorry. We have 100,000 open jobs, and we're at a 2.9% unemployment rate in Austin. So only 40 something thousand people are actually unemployed in the Austin area. So we need to import a lot more great talent in the area, Chris. So that's something to think about. But, you being here, being in the tech space, what's your experience been? What are you seeing in the tech space here in Austin?
It's a funny thing because for me, even when I switch jobs, it's usually coming through another firm that's still in LA. Like I'm open to local tech opportunities, but it's just happened to be that the firms that are kind of hit the sweet spot for what I'm looking for are still residing out there. Now that said, I know that shift is happening. And with that shift also is coming, because there's so many much more remote workers now. Even the local areas are paying the same price that you're going to find, or the same wage you're going to find typically in LA. Because it used to be that if you wanted that really high paying job, you'd go out to Silicon Valley, right? Now that just doesn't exist anymore from what I've seen. It may to some degree, there's going to be some adjustments, but from what I have seen, most people are kind of pegging around between the LA and San Francisco market anyways, regardless of where you're at. Now that may change in as COVID dies down and people are back in the office, but for a while that kind of it created an area that allowed a lot of us to say, hey, I don't need to be in this specific market to flourish. That said, I'm excited for what I see in tech from the big five that are here, as well as what Tesla and others are really bringing to Austin. That's only going to make that influx of both capital and people coming here is only just going to make things better. The reality is but where that diverges is in policies and other stuff that then divert from the better experiences that we could have to pet programs and embezzlement and everything else that goes into what I perceive most government does. So
I like this question about the attractions. I'm curious where you lived and then how long it took for you to get to some of these attractions.
Yeah. Back in the day, it was 5.5, 6 hours up to Mammoth, about 3 hours down to San Diego, 6.5 hours.
We've got that. We've got an hour and a half to Six Flags over wherever San Antonio calls theirs, right? We've got Dallas, the same thing. Casinos, if you want to go to Oklahoma or Louisiana, that's 4 hours. Ocean, 4 to 6 hours, depending on where in the ocean you want to go.
Yep.
You can go to Mexico, right?
Yeah.
You can go everywhere. So we still have a lot of that same stuff if you're willing to drive just a little bit. It's not the same kind of water, but
yeah, I mean,
nice.
We used to go 40 some odd minutes to get over to, the beaches over like Malibu area on a good day. And the reality is I grew up in Portland, and out there you have a lot of lakes and rivers. So I was much more used to that lifestyle than I was, say, the beach lifestyle. But, that was also one of the keys for me moving into where I did is I was very close to Lake Travis. And minutes as well away from Lake Austin and Lady Bird Lake and so on. So I was much more looking forward to that and getting back into the boating life and so on. And that's a little bit more difficult. It's not impossible to do out in LA. It's just a little more difficult to do out there.
Yeah. Well, it's unfortunate right now. Even right now, after all this rain, we still have super low water levels at the lake.
Yeah. 45%.
It's terrible, man.
Really? It's that low right now?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's low.
Wow.
That's after all that rain too.
Now's the time to go buy all that lakefront property.
Yeah, lakefront property, get your boat in a marina, get a boat, all of them.
Speaking of boating, Ian, I saw you on Saturday fly back from New York just to go boating in Austin. Sunday, sorry.
Yeah, that's it.
How'd that work out for you?
I mean, it's fun, bunch of people hanging out on the water. It's a beautiful sunny day. I hear it's hotter in California right now.
It's
I was like, wait a minute. It's hotter there.
I did a podcast yesterday and the guy's like, yeah, it's there in Central California. And he's like, yeah, it's going to be 111 or 112 today. How hot's it in Austin? I was like, 85?
Yeah. I mean, it's perfect. It was perfect.
Yeah. I was teasing my siblings. I'm like, come to Austin. It's cool. And then I showed them. They're like, that's not cool. I'm like, well, it's cool for us.
Yeah, no, we're cool. you know what's funny? So I was on a plane on Saturday and I'm sitting next to this girl and she was from Dallas. She's like, what's up? What's wrong with you people in Austin is you're so pretentious and you love your Austin so much. I'm like, I've always felt that way about Dallas people. So do you think that people in Austin have like an air of arrogance around them about being in Austin? I know I do it jokingly, but sometimes I'm serious. So
I think it can happen really in any city. Everybody's going to have some pride for their town.
When you see people putting longhorns on their driveways,
well, that's a cult. That's a different story.
Yeah, yeah, those people
painting their house orange, burnt orange. Like, okay.
You're wearing burnt orange. What are you talking about?
I noticed that. I know.
It is the pro sports team in the town, basically. So yeah.
Funny. Oh man, flashback. Nancy's back. She was gone for a while. She's
So
yeah, my sister's in SF. She's like, it is blazing hot out here right now.
Yeah.
JQX is talking about West Coast is beautiful and the national parks in California are amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah. We've got like 75 state parks within 3 hours of where we are in Austin. We have a lot of
it's a
beautiful parks.
Cool park that I don't think enough people go visit is Big Bend. Like
Big Bend. That's a little further, but yeah. Gorgeous.
Yeah, wife's been asking to go out there.
It's fun. Get an Airbnb out there, hang out in the desert, do some peyote, whatever you're into.
Watch desert. But I've been to Joshua Tree. Now that's
Joshua Tree. Well, they have like these weird lights in out there. So if you sit out there, they'll have like, I don't know if they're calling UFO lights, but they don't know where these lights come from. They're like off in the distance. But hey, I want to go check it out. I haven't been out there yet.
Nice.
Oh man. So speaking of pricing though, Joel, since you're in real estate, just kidding. Can we expect to see pre-pandemic home prices? That's a good question for you. Somebody that's been in Austin now for a year and a half, you just purchased a home. Do you think there's some concern from you or from people that have just moved here about prices coming down? Or you're just like, look, I got my house, I got my mortgage set. I don't care.
Well, like any investment, it only matters if you sell, right? If you're in a situation where you have to sell, that's probably the worst situation because then you're just at the whims of wherever the market's at. Otherwise, you get to dictate like how that investment's going to work for you because you could turn around, like Connie and I have already talked about it. We could turn around and rent this place out, build another spot, and continue that process. And we probably could afford it right now based off how things are for our financials are. But it would really strap us. But down the road, it'd be better unless the market turned, and then we'd be in a situation where we'd probably have to offload one of those assets. Right. I think at the end of the day, it really just depends. From that perspective, I don't really worry about it. Actually, when it does come down, I get excited because I'm like, maybe my tax burden will come down. That's the way I look at it. So,
yeah, Ian, tell everybody about how the taxes are right now.
Oh man, so. It's funny because I was out with some clients this morning and we were looking at some houses and we were in a neighborhood that's low tax at around 2%, right? 2% tax rate. And so they pull up this calculator and they show me the taxes. They're like, this is what we think our payment's going to be. And I looked at that number and I looked at them and I looked back at that number and I'm like, uh-oh. So I grabbed the calculator, typed it in. It was literally double what they had planned for, but that's in a low tax neighborhood. So it could have been so much higher if they were looking in a different area. It's just, it's definitely something that hits people kind of hard. if they're not doing their research or not prepared for it.
Yeah, and we are seeing prices come down. I know a lot of people are I hesitate to talk about this topic on the live stream because I'm doing a video about it right now because I don't want to burn 2 videos. But so keep an eye out for my that video. But it's was supposed to come out yesterday, so it'll come out next week. But anyway, so the prices are coming down. How fast they're coming down? Prices coming down. Ernest is right. They're going to have to come down 50% to be back to 2019. I don't see them coming down that low. I can tell you that I looked at the numbers for August. My problem is when I go to try to look at the whole MSA, I don't have enough data points. It's too many data points to pull from. When I look at Austin, you're going to see the Austin numbers down from last month. They were at 633, which was up. That I guarantee you, Ian, mark it right here. They'll probably be in the 590s next month.
Yeah, that's
when they come out in 2 weeks. So, all right. So I got something to bring on here as well, Joel. If you can stay, you can stay. This is Eric Babcock. He's a new agent in the Austin area, but he just moved to Austin. So it's great. So now we got somebody that's been here a year and a half versus somebody that's fresh-eyed, bushy-tailed in the Austin area. Eric, you've been here about 2 weeks. How are you feeling about Texas in this wonderful heat?
Oh, you know what? I love it. It just so happens I flew back to California. I'm here right now in California because I still have my business out here. And let me tell you, whatever this heat wave is out here, it's actually hotter right now where I'm at than it is where I'm my new home in Round Rock, Texas. I was hoping for some type of welcome with some good weather, but I think it's just further confirmation that I made a great decision.
Awesome. Well, you're here, you're fresh, you're new, you're seeing some of these prices drop, and now that you're in real estate, so we can ask some of these questions to you. But Tony says that his house in February sold for 1.3, and now a neighbor's is sitting for 900. Are you looking at prices dropping in the Austin area as well?
Yeah, you know what? I'm seeing things having to sit a lot more, and the things that were selling in the past were things that still needed some work, maybe a little TLC, but no matter what, they were selling. And now what we're starting to see is these things that are sitting and having to have price reductions and temper expectations on what they're selling. It's because they need a little refreshing. They need some work to be done. They need staging because a lot of these listings, they're not adjusting properly to what pre-COVID market would have to have in order to sell a home. So I think that's factoring into why things are sitting where buyers are now having the power to be like, you know what, I'm not going to settle for this. There's a lot of things that don't check my boxes. So I'm just going to hold off. I'm going to wait. I now have power to write an offer that I'm comfortable with. So it's having an effect on all these prices and days on market. And it's interesting to see.
Awesome, man. So you moved next to Ian. So you guys are like neighbors now, right, Ian?
Not really. You keep saying that, but apparently you don't know where I live, but that's okay.
Well, Ian of Austin doesn't live in Austin, just so you're aware.
Neither does Jeremy, your favorite Austin realtor. While we're at it.
Too freaking shade. All right. That's awesome. So first impressions, Eric, you've been here a couple weeks. What do you think about, you're in Round Rock, right?
Yes, sir.
Mayfield Ranch. What are you thinking about Austin so far? And if you were listening to Joel, how does it compare to Joel's assessment of Austin?
For me personally, it's the people. I don't think it gets reiterated enough, but the people here, not to discredit people of California, something about what's going on out in Texas that you're walking around, you go to a grocery store, you can count on it that you're going to talk to a handful of people that are genuinely interested in learning about you and seeing if they can help. And that was grossly underestimated. I came out here for quality of life for my 2 young kids and also the prices and more land, never having a backyard really growing up. One of the people that I wasn't born into any money. So I wanted to give my kids an expedited fast lane to a better quality of life. And that cherry on top of the people, man, it made these first few weeks so much easier whether it's finding a gym, finding a church, getting plugged into the community. it's been night and day, so much easier, and would have never expected it. And I wanted to drive that point home that people, they welcome you with open arms.
So this question is going to both of you then. If everything was exactly the same when it comes to price, the prices of the homes were exactly the same, Texas, California, or Austin.
They're getting pretty damn close, but continue.
Yeah.
You mean like cultures, weather, all that? No.
All of it. You had everything together, but the housing prices were identical.
Yeah, I get you. I would say for me, it's a no brainer. I would be here in Austin, but that's because it fits the lifestyle that I was looking for. And honestly, Eric is correct when it comes to the culture and the people. It was something my wife and I saw immediately, and we were joking like, there's got to be something in the water. There's something going on here. Like everybody is just friendly. They don't look. You're gonna meet jerks too, but most people, from like the guy serving you coffee to just some random person next to you, you would just strike up conversations, and they were genuine. They weren't. I don't mean to throw LA under a bus, but I would meet people that there was always an angle. And so you were always meeting a myriad of like, you're genuine people, more so out in the suburb, you get more into the city, and everybody has a shtick. So.
Well, it's interesting you bring up the water issue. Ian and I were just in New York, and they say that the bagels and the pizza are better because of the water, but that same water probably makes people pretty cranky. Although I met some pretty nice people in New York, so I don't have anything negative to say about the people. But I did get yelled at a couple of times, but that was just from, when you're walking across the street and texting, it's probably not the best thing in New York. So
you sure they weren't just saying hello? That's how they say hello.
What is it? It was a New York hello?
Yeah.
It's like, get the heck out of here, or something like that. Yeah.
I don't think that.
We have to work on your acting skills.
Yeah.
Nailed it.
Ian made a lot of friends there for sure. One kills you with income taxes, the other property taxes, but at least California, you can retire one day. What?
Why can't you? Well, why can't you retire here?
Yeah. I don't know that I would. Would you? Hold on.
I get what he's saying. It's the idea of your property taxes forever going up, and as you retire, you get priced out of your own home. But there's accommodations for elderly and veterans as well, right?
Yeah. Right. Eric, what else you got, man? Give you the stage, man. It's all you.
Yeah, I mean, I was born and raised Newport Beach, California, so I had no reason to really leave. I had all my family still here. I moved out to Austin area, the greater Austin area, Round Rock, just out of faith and on a whim, because seeing the dramatic appreciation in prices really, and I'm not the only one that had experienced it, of 30-year-old people with young families, and they have their eyes set on a nice townhome here that all of a sudden goes from 550,000 here in Orange County where I'm at to up to 700,000, 750. And that's no backyard. That's 1,000 square feet, 2-bedroom, 2.5 bath. And my son is now 6. He's never seen a big backyard. My dog is 7. He's never seen the backyard. I'm 30. I've never experienced a backyard bigger than 4,000 square feet. So granted, you're getting the area, you're getting the weather, you're getting the beach. I can drive 1.5 hours to the mountains or 1.5 hours to the desert. So those things people are paying a premium for. But as my lifestyle started to change, my priorities started to change, I really had to take a look. Once we realized, look, if we wanted to get a townhome, we're about a year out now, or we immediately jump ship, give something that our kids are going to love, and do it right now instead of waiting and guarantee it. Because even in a year from now, maybe prices they're still going to steadily appreciate back to the normal rate of appreciation. So what does that look like? So a lot went into this decision, but then all of a sudden just got the confirmation, jumping ship and doing it and not regretting it, because the lifestyle is different, but in a good way. My priorities have changed, where now all of a sudden it's big land, great people, good area, no income tax for the state. So that also helps. And, you know, I'm still learning something new every single day. So that type of excitement has really provided, you know, a brighter side where there's more opportunity, I feel like.
So what's something that you get here now that you're here that you hope never changes?
Ooh, that's a solid question.
Man.
Jaden, that's a clip right there, buddy.
You know what? It's the top two that I can come to mind immediately is people. I hope that people never change. And also the land. I know naturally things are going to have to be developed, and that's happening nationwide, where population growth is happening. It's inevitable. But there's been, in the area I'm at, it feels like they've preserved a lot of the areas where you're not just dumping houses on small little cookie cutter backyards like here in California, where you're getting this big 3,000 square foot house, but on a 4,000 square foot lot, and you're just stacked on top of each other. Out here, you can get that big home, but you're appreciating the land. So those two things I value immensely. I hope they preserve that, and they probably know the value in providing that to people, that the reason why you may be leaving California is for that opportunity. So the combination of those two things, I hope just never change.
Joel, same question to you.
Yeah. I mean, there's a few things that come to mind, but I think primarily it's definitely the people. I mean, there's a culture, there's a friendliness, there's a welcoming attitude to a lot of people out here. And I hope that never changes, because it was one of the big sellers for us too. When we came out here and we were like, why is everybody so nice? We're not used to this. But so that I agree with Eric on that for sure. And then secondarily to that, it's kind of like what Rogan said. You know, when he said when people come out here, he goes, just don't change anything. Austin's great because of where it's at right now. So just let it vote exactly the same way, and whatever that means. I don't mean to throw politics, but I'm like, it's whatever that culture created. It's the hodgepodge of everything that came in that kept Austin the way it is. It's got a little bit of weird, it's got a little bit of normal, it's got a little bit of everything for everybody, and that kind of melting pot, that mixture, I think just makes everybody better, to be honest.
Ian, what do you hope never changes?
I was going to say, Jeremy, what about you? What do you?
No, man, I want to hear from you. Nobody wants to hear from me.
Oh man, you know, that's actually a really good point. The land thing that you had brought up, Eric. I think having a lot of people want their personal property, right? They want to have a place they can go and be themselves, unencumbered, and not have to worry about anybody else. Protect their land, that's what they're working for. Protect their family. And it gets kind of strange when you're in a place where you reach out the window and you're touching your neighbor's house, right? That's just a little too close. So if you can get a good sized lot and a good sized piece of land, or even acres, depending on where you're going, that's nice. And I know that right now you can do that, and probably for a lot of years you'll be able to do that. They're not going to get rid of any of these neighborhoods that already exist, but obviously they're going to have to start focusing on more density in the future. And so that, it worries me a little bit, because we have tons of land. But people aren't going to want to drive. And so they need more density in the cities, and it becomes a whole cycle.
Did you know there's only 15,000 buildable acres left in Austin?
No, I didn't. 15,000
in Austin proper?
Austin proper, yeah.
Yeah, only 15,000 in Austin proper available acres left. So that's why I think people need to understand that Austin's a little insulated. I agree with you, though. You know, when I moved here about 10 years ago, the one thing that's sad to me now, look, we need growth. People are moving here, but all of these like super green areas that I used to see are starting to slowly move away and become medical parks or medical facilities or whatever. Everything's medical now, I swear. But on the flip side of that, some really cool stuff's coming. Like we're out in I don't want to say what neighborhood, but I'm out in Dripping Springs now, and they have this whole area being built up in Dripping Springs, and all of that used to be just raw land. And so some of this stuff's needed, some of it's not. I'd say the one thing that I hope doesn't change in the Austin area I think you're all right. I think that would be my number one, is all the people like being so friendly, and that culture that you get. Cause like the culture is like, hey, come out, have a beer, relax, whatever. Even if you don't drink, just come out and hang out. And I think that culture is really hard to find in a lot of places, and if Austin lost that, I feel like that's the heart. Everybody comes out and says the music and everything. I think the heartbeat of Austin is that like neighborly, cultural, like let's just do whatever. I don't care who you are, what you look like, what you do, just come hang out. So my biggest worry though for Austin, so on the flip side of that, what's your biggest worry for Austin? I think my biggest worry for Austin is, and I'll let you go next, is taxes and affordability. The taxes for me are going to drive a lot of people away. And it's going to make it harder for people to actually live here. And then they're going to have to leave and find new jobs. So that's my biggest worry, is just the property taxes and the taxes. But what are your worries? I'll start with the newest person here, Mr. Babcock.
Well, I mean, a little unfair because, I have none. I'm fresh off the boat. I just got here, and I need to get my feet set and really get acclimated to the area because I guess the worry would be, just going back to the people. There's so much value in that. And I love the fact that they've really, I feel like the neighborhoods have really attributed a lot of different amenities, that there's always something to do. There's great areas for the kids, all these splash pads. So even though they're developing, they are providing lots of value for those areas. And naturally, appreciation is set to happen anywhere and everywhere. And then I know you talk about it all the time, Jeremy, where all these companies are coming here. So there's going to be influx of jobs, which by results will drive in even more people to the area. So that's why a little sense of urgency of at least now jumping into it. And everyone's different in their stage of life, where for me in particular, this was a no-brainer because of my family and the area I picked with all the different things to do, the hikes, the lakes, the splash pads, the parks, going there and meeting new people and other kids. It's been so family friendly. And for someone that may be a single adult might have different priorities, but then you have downtown Austin that they could still be able to explore that scene and really the music. So there's just so many different things that I think it fits anybody's stage of their life. And I'm just speaking for myself though, that it just lined up perfectly.
What about you, Joel?
Definitely the taxes. It's the number one thing I look at when it comes to property tax and looking at the evaluations, because your burden is based off somebody's assessment, right? And without any real cap, year over year of what that actually can go to, you're really at the whims of whatever the municipality wants to do to you at that point. So I do worry about that. I don't care what my house is worth until I'm ready to sell it at that point. Like, keep it low as far as artificially. I don't care as long as it keeps my taxes low. But that's actually the only thing I really worry about, because honestly, Texas has given me so many other things that I can appreciate, from many aspects that I value in life. And so that's why it's so important to me. I know some people are going to say California, and look, I love San Diego. There's aspects of LA that I still love, but it's just that this honestly, I got here and it felt like home, and I haven't looked back.
Ian, you're up, bro.
This PC guy is killing me.
I know. I'm laughing too.
He says big backyard is useless when it's so hot. People are overrated. And I'm thinking, man, you need to find new friends. The thing with yards is, the direction the house faces is one factor. Whether you have a covered patio, whether you have trees in the back. We have beautiful properties with big oak trees and stuff. You're not limited. If you're in a brand new subdivision and they have these little tiny trees that they put in, then yeah, I guess I get that. Also in a new subdivision, you have less neighbors that can come over and say hi, or you got to get out and talk to people. But people want to be friendly, like Jeremy had mentioned. And I think that's such an interesting psychological need. I really feel that way. When I left Chicago, I just looked around. Everybody was miserable. I say that all the time. People were just angry for no reason because it was always cloudy and it was always
I hear
like
people
negative
attack
25
themselves.
degrees.
I hear people attack themselves in winter vortexes there.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. They never wanted to drive anywhere. There was always snow or rain or sleet. And it was a drag, man. It really was. And so coming here, you just have people that are naturally more jovial and excited because they don't have to put up with half of that stuff. And I'll tell you what, I was in San Diego not long, I think it was March. Okay, it was March. It was a little while back. And I was freezing. It was like 65 degrees, which normally would be fine, but that ocean breeze just, I did not like it. I was not a fan. It was a little chill. Like you can't get in the water at 65 degrees. Yeah. You got to be 85 degrees before you get in the water. Come on.
Yeah. I love this comment, PC. You're cracking me up, but I love this one. Two things, something we get here that I hope never changes: barbecue. Terry Black's, you're gonna have to try some new barbecue, but Louis Miller in particular, and Pew Pew laws.
Pew pew.
Yeah,
Pew Pew laws. Right.
Yeah. I tell you what, that was a bit of a factor. Is the land of the free, man. We hear the saying of the good old country of Texas. I mean, you come out here, and that's having two young kids. We're like, we want to be able to give our kids the opportunity to not only have great education here, but not have to worry about what the direction of the future is. And California was looking a little bleak there. And granted, the PC's comment that what I was laughing at was the bugs. That was the biggest adjustment. I totally forgot. Right when I got there, there was heavy rain, and I found out what a mound of dirt was doing in my lawn. And it was ant hills, man. No one told me about these ant hills.
Yeah, you got to wear boots to cut the grass.
Yeah. I learned very quickly. You got to spray. You got to take care of it.
We were in New York last week, right? And I'm walking around, and I see these little cats running back and forth, and you realize those aren't cats. Those are not cats.
I thought they were raccoons at first.
I know. They're huge. This big, just running around. They do not care about your life.
That's funny, man. That was one of the things. We walked up to that big historical society we were doing that talk at, and there's this bag just ripped apart. I'm like, man, darn raccoons got into that. And somebody turned to me and goes, those are rats. I'm like, oh, really? Okay. Okay. Kristina Smallhorn is here. Earlier, Kristina was doing a live stream, and my question to her is, why is Jeremy your favorite? Her response was lackluster, but we'll leave it at that. All right. What are the questions you got for these guys, Ian? You had 17 good questions.
Man, okay. How about the transportation thing? I think
nobody cares about transportation. Hey, this is the good question right here. I like this one. So I love that people in Texas always say stuff like this: keep your California mindset. I don't even know what that. Oh, is that supposed to be Sacramento? Okay.
Yeah.
We'll bring it to Texas. We don't want it or need it. Well, how are your feelings when it comes to people? If you tell them you're from California, number one, what is that like? But or do you just not tell them at all? But what's your overall thought on people saying don't California my Texas?
They have a point. I mean, that's why I left, to be honest. I can't, and I say it in jest because I will tell people hey, I'm from California, but I'm one of the good ones. That's why I'm here. I'm not here to mess up what you guys have. That's why I'm here. Because there's just so much that I do understand. And now having seen the other side, what you guys keep attesting to, the people, and realizing what it should be like, and having now the experience of things slow down a bit. I've always heard that saying, but I've never actually understood what that actually meant, because I've been here my whole life. And what do you mean things slow down? Are they driving slower? What can you elaborate on that? But now that I've actually experienced it, it's still hard to explain, but people take the time to talk to you. They're not in a rush. They're not always on their phone, probably worried about working so they can afford their crazy high rents or crazy high mortgage. So I think that's now seeing that side of things, of why things are slower out there, because they're naturally less stressed. They got themselves a nice big backyard with full of bugs. But it's definitely understandable why they would say that, because I was around them quite frequently out here in California, and now that I'm away from it, I can be like, okay, so that's not normal.
Kristina, I'm sorry for being emotional. I said, oh, why is Jeremy your favorite? And Christina's like, oh, well, he's one of my favorite or something like that. And I was like, oh, just kidding. Love Kristina. Thank you, Kristina, for the $9.99. You're the best. Yeah, but to your point, I agree with you. And I want to ask this question: quality of life. Quality of life in Austin is one of the best compared to most desirable cities in America. We might have lots of bugs and heat and rattlesnakes. Only Heal would be.
I'm assuming PC will be jealous of.
Oh yeah. Jealous of. Overall, great place to raise family. I mean, like I'm hearing from you, it's family. Hearing from Joel, family. Ian's not quite there with the family, but he's got 2 dogs, so that counts for quite a bit. So, I mean, I think a lot of people, you're right, move here for those specific reasons. Look, there he goes.
Nice.
Oh my guy's right here.
Yeah, see, they even look happy.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, my dogs loved it.
That's because they have a big yard to run around in. That's why.
Yeah. And I'm telling you, the humidity, the heat, that
you get used to it.
I know, and it's only been a few weeks, and I tell you, the fact of having a backyard to be out in the heat, just it overcompensates the fact that hey, I may be a little hot right now, but check this yard out, man. This is cool. We're utilizing it. Get used to the bugs real quick. And now that I actually have a routine that I walk the lawn with my daughter, who's 2, because she was the one that once I kicked the anthill, she did the same thing, but with no shoes. So she's now my right-hand anthill inspector to make sure like, okay, let's take care of this.
They make a yellow or orangish bag at Home Depot. You tear a little thing, you put the little sprinkles on it. That's the stuff you need.
It goes away. Yeah.
Yeah. They go away.
And quick. Don't bring those to state parks. You will get fined. I found out. Because I'm sitting here thinking, I got to protect my tent area. Oh, right. No, they do not like that. Something about the deer eating the ants or something. And it messed up the whole ecosystem.
Wait, deer eats ants? Okay, that's
new. The other thing I wanted
their food somehow.
The other thing I wanted to kind of piggyback off the backyard thing is don't undersell the front yard thing. That is a very at least it's a Texas thing. I don't know if it's a Southern thing. I'm assuming it is, but there are many times where we'll chill out in our front yard and the neighbors will come by, and then the next thing you know, we're all having a drink, talking about the day or talking about what's going on in our lives and so on. And it's a regular occurrence, and it's a great way to get to know your neighbors. And we've had several like neighborhood events already where all the neighbors, and a lot of them, honestly, you get your mix of locals. There's a few New Yorkers and there's a lot of Californians that are in our neighborhood, and everybody feels like a political refugee to some degree, just escaping what they felt was a little bit unjust in terms of where things were heading. So I'll just leave it there. But I want to say I identify with the liberty aspect of it, because it's that freedom to do these things that I felt like we're not there when the proverbial poop hit the fan and everybody was locked down. So
yeah, that's a great point. That because California, it seems like people are in a rush they sit in traffic on the way home from work, then they open up their garage and immediately close it after them. Where already in this neighborhood I'm at, people get out of their car and open up the driveway, walk down the driveway, wave to everybody. It's more of like a drawn out process. And that's to the point of things slow down. They're not in a rush to just get inside, get in the house and cook dinner, do this, do that. They're like, no, let me enjoy this. Let me talk to somebody. That's, hey, how you doing?
Yeah, I just moved into a new neighborhood, and I walk the dogs every morning and every night, and I swear everybody's like, hey, come over, have a beer. I'm like, yes. Yep. I moved to the right spot again. Yep. So Steven S. is who I was talking about earlier, just joined Real Broker. He's in East Austin. So he's your East Austin, Southeast Austin. Ian works Northeast Austin, but keep the donation trains rolling. So we're going to have to do like a cosmic coffee day and drink some. I was just at on my Instagram channel. I just did my Instagram page. I just did a shout out to Treaty Oak. So that's what I'm drinking today. But Cosmic's always my favorite. I want to get to this question right here. And the 2 things that make Austin even better are Jeremy and Ian. There you go.
Where's the question?
Yeah. Oh, no, I just wanted to take that. Thanks, John.
The question is, who doesn't agree?
Right.
There's a
Okay.
lot of people that don't like me. It's all right.
Stephen also mentioned the graffiti wall. Stephen, did you know that they
Yeah.
rebuilt it or are rebuilding it? It's not open yet, but it's going to be, I don't know, probably 5 times the size. It looks really cool.
Yeah, it's over by the airport, right?
Mm-hmm. I drove over there on accident on purpose. Yeah.
Yeah.
Checks out.
All right, so we got a couple minutes left. What's your last kind of overall ahas or anything that you're feeling for the Austin area?
So what, other than In-N-Out, what is it that you wish would be here or come here?
Oh, it's
What
such
do
a
you
good
miss?
I got an In-N-Out right down the street from me, man. I don't know
I
what you're
said
talking
other
about.
than In-N-Out. I know.
Have you guys tried the water burger?
Yeah, burger water. Yes.
Yeah, water
Yes.
burger.
Yeah, I hear it's good. Honestly, I don't mind it, but I'll take In-N-Out any day over that. That's just
Yeah.
me.
People catch some feelings when you talk ill about Whataburger.
You know what? I know what the answer is, and it's the only answer. It's good sushi.
Oh, have you been to
Sushi Cohen in Round Rock?
Yeah,
Best spot. Go now.
yeah.
Perfect. That's
Drop
on the
what
street
you're
from me.
doing.
Is that the
sign
one that's
off,
up near the
log off, and
Costco?
drive.
Is that the one that's up near the Costco?
No. It's on University across from
All right, I'll have to
IKEA.
go check it out.
Near IKEA.
No, but like the good sushi usually is way more expensive. That's the other thing out here.
Yeah, it's way more.
Yeah, where
fine.
you could you could go to just a basement place in LA and it's still going to be good for the most part. Yeah,
I mean, and you have like Uchiko and a couple other
Yeah.
places that are really high end, but just trust me on this one.
Yeah.
Sushi Cohen.
Well,
Yeah.
what was really funny to me when we were in New York last week is that we went to Chinese food and it was great. And then somebody wanted to go get Mexican food. I'm like, what are we doing getting Mexican food? Like, can we go get pizza or Italian food? Like, come on, let's you don't fly all the way to Austin to get
no, you got to
sushi,
get a
right?
Reuben. That's what you
Yeah.
go for.
Yeah, exactly.
John mentioned H Mart. Joel, have you ever been to H Mart?
Yes, it's amazing. Love it.
It's like a party in itself.
Yeah, it's amazing.
Yeah.
I love seafood, so like going in there, it's like heaven. So
Yeah, some of your food's still moving.
Yeah.
It's great.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you get the duck that they still leave the head on, that's pretty cool. That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Jaden says, okay, I have to try to get back to Austin now after delay, but I'm sure I'll be rewatching the stream later and talk to Joel about it once I get back. So
Yeah.
Jaden's my editor here. He's the man. Okay.
You
On
can tell
board.
with his Halo helmet. Look at this guy.
right, you should see the. Well, I'll leave it to him to talk about it.
We've got the
about what?
Corsair gaming headset. We've got a Halo helmet going on. What else we got?
There you go. Hey, I got a PC. Well, we're friends now. It's official. It's like, no, and don't worry. I feel like I'm looking through the comments, and a lot of the Californians continue to vote the same way. I mean, a lot of us left because we didn't like the politics in California.
You're
So,
going to continue to vote the same way you voted in California, which is the way, some people vote in Texas. So there
yeah.
you go.
Which
There you go.
in my case will actually help you guys.
What's really interesting to me is, you have a lot of people that are talking about Texas turning blue, or, they get really involved in Texas politics, trying to change it. What's really interesting to me is, we've helped quite a few people move to the Austin area over the last 7 years. From what I've seen, the people moving here, I don't think that it's going to radically change the politics in Austin. If anything, in Texas, if anything, it's the people that have lived here generationally that are moving more, changing Texas bluer versus the people moving here.
Yeah.
So,
From what I've seen in my neighborhood, it's at least a 70-30 split,
Mhm.
independent to conservative towards liberal.
Yeah. Lucas is buying a house right now. My wife is Asian, and we got all the good food supermarkets, MT Supermarket, Ranch 29, H Mart are amazing. I eat good food every day. See, he's got it. All right, there we go. We've been over an hour 5. Everybody, thank you. Eric, thanks for joining. Joel, thanks for joining. Drop comments even in the replay, and these two are going to like come back and drop in comments. Ian, I'll see you on the flip side, man.
Yeah, I'll probably see you tomorrow or something.
Yeah, we should actually do a video on prices dropping and inventory. It sounds like people
From
want to hear about.
Cosmic Coffee.
A little foreshadowing. I'm in.
Yeah, like next week the video will pop out. All right, here we go. See you later. Bye.